Good morning, students. So today we are starting our next topic from chapter Microbes in Human Welfare, and that is chemicals, enzymes, and other bioactive molecules. So far in my previous lectures, you have studied about the role of microorganisms in household and in industries. That what kind of products that we obtained in our household and large scale in industries from these microorganisms. So here I am going to tell you more about the microorganisms and their roles. The student microbes are also used commercially and at industrial scale for the production of certain very important chemicals. These may be different type of organic acids, alcohols and enzymes. So example of these microorganisms are Aspergillus niger, which is a kind of a fungus. From this fungus, we obtained a citric acid. There is another bacterium known as Acetobacter aceti, and from this bacterium, we obtain the acetic acid, which is commonly known as vinegar, and Lactobacillus bacterium, that is very much known to us. From this, we obtain lactic acid. Okay, student, there is a unicellular fungus yeast, and its technical name is Saccharomyces cerevisiae. It is used for the production, or you can say commercial production of ethanol, which is absolute alcohol. There are some microorganisms which are also used for producing enzymes. For example, lipases enzymes, they are present in our detergent formulations. And they play a very important role in removing oily stains from our clothes. So they are generally used on large scale in laundries, where we send our clothes for washing. And when we bring bottled juices from market, what you see, these bottled juices, they are very much clearer as compared to our juice which we made at our home. This is because of the presence of pectinases and proteases enzymes, which removes the extra residue or molasses from these juices, so they look much clearer. Yes, students, streptokinase. It is a kind of a chemical which is obtained from the bacterium Streptococcus, and it is later modified by the technique of genetic engineering. So it is used as a clot buster. That is, sometimes in the blood vessels of some patients, blood clots are formed. And these blood clots, they show resistance towards the flow of the blood through these blood vessels. So such patients, they are suffering from various types of myocardial infections or heart diseases. So these streptokinase chemicals, it thin, or you can say cause the thinning of the blood, so that blood clots, they are not formed. They burst these clots and make the blood again in the liquid form. Here is one bioactive molecule known as cyclosporin A. So this cyclosporin A, it is used as a immunosuppressant agent. When we do the organ transplantation surgery in some patient, then this cyclosporin A is given to the patient so that his immune system is kept in sleeping mode for some time. So it is obtained from a fungus, and the name of the fungus is a Trichoderma polyspora. And here we have another type of chemical known as statins. These are obtained from yeast Monachus purpureus, and it is used as blood cholesterol lowering agent. That means it lower the level of cholesterol in the blood, which is a complex type of derived lipid. And how it works, this statins, it acts by competitively inhibiting the enzyme that is involved in the synthesis of cholesterol. So cholesterol is not formed, and in this way the patients can be easily recovered with the help of this chemical. Okay, student, the topic that is the main topic of today is microbes and their role in sewage treatment. Well, students, you know very well that lot of sewage in the form of wastewater, it comes out from our houses, factories, industries, cities, towns. So this wastewater, it generally contain organic matter, debris, various type of harmful microorganisms. So here, what we are going to study? We are going to study here the role of these microorganisms which are present in this sewage water, how they help us to treat the waste water into the form of water which can be easily used later for some task. So students, here we are going to study the role of these heterotrophic microorganisms, that how they help us in the treatment of sewage. You know very well student, if this sewage water which contain large amount of organic material, because this water, it generally contains the food remains when we wash our dishes in our kitchen. It also contains the lather of the soap and detergents, and sometimes it also contains the waste product of the industries, as it is very extremely poisonous in nature. So if we discharge this sewage water directly into our water bodies such as rivers, lakes, streams, etc., so it totally cause the pollution of these water bodies and make the drinking water unfit for our household uses. So in order to avoid this, we have to clarify this water with the help of sewage treatment plants. So here in this topic, we are going to study how a sewage treatment plant it actually works. Okay, student, this I have already discussed, that large quantity of wastewater it is generated every day, cities and towns. And one of the important thing of this wastewater is that it contains human excreta. And the municipal wastewater, it is called as sewage, and it contains large amount of organic matter as well as harmful microorganisms, and they are the carriers of so many diseases. That means they are pathogenic in nature, students. So this wastewater cannot discharge directly into water bodies, so its treatment is required, and for this purpose we have sewage treatment plants. So students, here the picture of one sewage treatment plant is visible to you. So treatment of this wastewater, municipal wastewater, it is done by heterotrophic bacteria which are already present in the sewage water. And this treatment process, it is carried out in two stages. The first stage is known as the primary treatment, and the second stage is known as the secondary treatment of the wastewater. Yes, students. So here I am going to tell you first about the primary treatment of the sewage water. So student, this primary treatment steps, it is basically involve first the physical removal of the particles, those particles which are very large size or small size, they are removed with the help of sequential filtration, sedimentation. So they are removed as in the form of, initially they are floating in the sewage as in the form of debris. So physically they are removed with the help of sequential filtration. And later grit, which is in the form of soil or pebbles, it is also present in the sewage water. So it is removed by the process of sedimentation. So whatever solids that settle from the primary sludge, later form the primary sludge, and the supernatant which is present over the surface, it later is called as affluent. So we are not bothering here about the primary sludge. It is actually the solids that settle down. We are here only talking about the supernatant, which we called as affluent. So this affluent, it is later passed into the primary settling tank, and this is for the secondary treatment. So we are only taking this affluent, which is the supernatant, and we later pass it into a primary settling tank, and here in this tank we do its secondary treatment. Okay students, secondary treatment, which is also known as the biological treatment, because here we are going to use some microorganisms. So the primary effluent which we obtain from the primary treatment, it is later passed into a tank, which is known as large aeration tank. And here in this aeration tank, agitators are there. These agitators, they are rotated fastly, mechanically, and later air is pumped into this tank. What happened? Because of the entry of this air and mechanical agitation of these agitators, the bacteria which are initially present inside the effluent, their vigorous growth takes place, and these useful aerobic microbes, which are the bacteria or the fungal filaments, they comes on the surface in the form of flocks or meshes. And while growing, what they do, they consume the organic matter that is present in this effluent. So how many organic matter or how much organic matter is actually present in the effluent? That forms the value of BOD, that is biological oxygen demand. But as soon as more and more these microbes, aerobic microbes, they grow over the surface, they consume more and more these organic matter. The value of the BOD that goes down. So later what we do, we take the sample of this water, which is the primary effluent, and check it for BOD test. If the value of BOD test is low, this means the water is now cleaning. It is now showing less polluting effect. Now next, what we do, after the BOD test, we pass this effluent, which is called the primary effluent, into another tank, which is known as the settling tank. And here these bacterial flocks, which contains the bacteria as well as the fungal filaments, they are allowed to settle. Now this sediment of this biological flocks, it is known as activated sludge. And we take a small portion of this activated sludge as inoculum and pass it back into the aerated tank. And here it initiates the biological treatment later on. And what we do with the rest of the activated sludge, which is accumulated in this settling tank. So here what we do, we pass this activated sludge into another tank where we put some anaerobic bacteria and fungi. And what these anaerobic bacteria and fungi do, they start consuming this biological flock, which are aerobic in nature. And during this consumption, they produce large amount of gases such as methane gas, hydrogen sulfide, carbon dioxide gas. So these gases, they form the biogas. And you know that biogas is our richest source of energy. It is highly inflammable and it is used in our villages for various household tasks. So in this way, the gases which we obtain from this secondary treatment, it is used for household purposes. And the water, which we later called as the treated effluent. Now, after secondary treatment, it is released into the natural water bodies like rivers and streams, and this water can be used for irrigation purposes. So that's all about the primary and secondary treatment of the sewage treatment plant. Okay, student, the next topic is how microbes, they are involved in the production of the biogas. You know, students, biogas is an eco-friendly fuel. It is a mixture of so many gases, and all of these gases, they are produced actually by the activity of the microorganisms. So this biogas, it is used as a fuel in our villages because its calorific value is very high and it is less polluting. So here you know that the different type of gaseous end products which are produced during microbial activities, or you can say during growth and metabolic activities of microbes, they are also different. Because different microorganisms, they consume a different type of substrate. And on the basis of this, they produce different type of gases. For example, you know, on fermentation of dough, cheese making, different type of beverages, the main gas which is produced here is the carbon dioxide gas. And there are certain bacteria which we have studied in anaerobic digestion of activated sludge during secondary treatment. So these bacteria, they generally produce methane gas, hydrogen sulfide. So all of these gases are the components of biogas. So here I want to tell you more that the food of the plant, it generally consists of cellulose. So the cattle, when they consume this food, they also produced methane along with carbon dioxide and hydrogen. And for the digestion of these cellulose-rich food in the cattle stomach, special type of bacteria are present, which are known as methanogens. They are present in the ruminant stomach of the cattle, and they are involved in the breakdown of cellulose. And in this way, they play a significant role in the nutrition of our cattle. Okay, student, here the picture of the dome-shaped biogas plant is visible to you. So you can see very well, this is the digester tank or the inlet tank. So the slurry of the biogas in liquid form along with some organic debris such as a turi or some fodder, dried fodder, that is put into this tank in liquid form. And here there is a dome shaped lid that is present over this biogas plant. So whenever the decomposition of this organic debris and slurry of cow dung or gobar, it takes place by microorganisms. Then during this decomposition process, various component gases of biogas such as methane, carbon dioxide, so all of these gases, they are generated, and these gases, they exert a pressure over this gas holder. So this gas holder, it rises a little above. So there is one gas control valve that is present here, and an outlet is also present. So this, through this outlet, this biogas is later supplied for various household purposes. So what about this used or spent slurry? So later, when we obtain the biogas from it, then this used slurry, it is used as manure for our fields. So here, student, inlet tank is visible to you. This is the partition wall, and this is the inlet pipe. Mixing tank is there. So in this way, this biogas, which is eco-friendly gas and not causing any type of pollution, it is used for variety of household tasks in our villages, and it is a clean source of energy. It is pollution free, easily available, easy to transport. So in this way, this biogas is only available to us because of the activities of some anaerobic microorganisms. So here in this chapter, we have studied about the beneficial role of these microorganisms for human welfare. So that's all in our today's lecture, students. In the upcoming lecture, we will study about the role of microorganisms as biocontrol agents and how these microorganisms, they act as biofertilizers. Okay, students, have a nice day.